before Jesus. My life, it was pretty chaotic. I was a New Ager. I worshipped many false gods. I was a necromancer. I lived in a homosexual lifestyle. So when people found out about that, they had a lot to say. I allowed those comments and encounters to define who God was to me. The gentle and loving ones were, I'm praying for you, or Jesus loves you. And the more aggressive approaches that people took with me was, you're going to hell, or you're an abomination. People would say, you're not welcome at my church. And it made me feel like I was unwanted, like I wasn't good enough, also that I didn't belong. I was sitting in bed talking to my then girlfriend, and it was like the whole entire room just turned dark. I felt like my heart was beating out of my chest. I could feel it slow down, like it was stopping. So I started panicking, and I thought I was dying. And I had no prior biblical knowledge. I didn't grow up in church. I wasn't raised in church. So I didn't understand what hell or heaven was. But in that experience, I had realized that hell is definitely a place. It was almost like God allowed me to see who the devil was and what darkness was. And then it switched, and it was like, okay, now it's time for me to show you who I am. And I felt an embrace, and almost like I was being held like a little baby. And I could physically feel breath being breathed back into me. And again, had no concept of what the Bible was, what it says. I didn't believe in God, yet in my disbelief, he still showed up and pulled me from those pits. At that point, once I came out of that experience, I was there with my girlfriend, and I looked at her and I knew, this life isn't for you. This is the life that he has planned for you. So I reached out to a couple of friends who I knew attended church, and I jumped right in. I went, and the first message, it was actually Pastor Chris. He had mentioned sexual immorality, but it wasn't like before, how, it was pointing fingers and, just focusing just on that sin. And for the first time, I heard, like, sin is many things. It's not just being gay. It took me a while to realize that these people who offended me, some of them actually cared about me. And just because someone doesn't agree with you or affirm, the things that you're doing and the way that you're living, that doesn't automatically mean that they hate you. It was also a great deal of humility that I had to go through to realize that, everything that I believed wasn't necessarily the truth, and that truth was out there, and maybe these people were trying to speak it into me.